as expected. Welcome to Old Man Reads Creepypastas. I have been scared myself by Fusilli on many an occasion, but I have come to realize that pasta does not mean pasta in this case, because why would it? Pasta obviously means stories. Stories based on really scary things like cartoons, board games, video games, theme parks. What the heck? Today's story is Sonic.exe. This story is already pretty scary since it includes a file extension. I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I know, right? I've never heard anyone say anything negative about a Sonic the Hedgehog game. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played glitchy or hacked games before, though I don't think I want to play any after the experience I had. Wow, already this story is really scary. I don't know if I can go much further listening to what Sonic games this guy likes playing or not. It started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I liked how you get to explore the towns in it. Wow! Until I noticed out of my peripheral vision that the mailman had arrived to put something in my mailbox, as usual, and left. I suppose that's how the mail works. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. Yes, please tell us the entire process. I'm really interested. The only thing in the mailbox was a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend Kyle. Let's just call him that. Well, personally, I would have called him Beauty. Unless he was ugly. He's probably ugly. Anyway, Kyle, whom I hadn't heard from in 2 weeks, I know that because I recognized his handwriting, though what was weird was how it looked. It looked badly written and scratchy. I guess that's pretty weird, that you recognized it if it was weird and scratchy, and somewhat difficult to read, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down, and did it in a hurry. Here's what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late, and I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me, and if you don't destroy this CD, he'll come after you too. He's too fast for me. Yes, CDs are deceptively quick if you roll them. I tried to run away from a CD once, and it did not go very well. I understand Tom's dilemma here. Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc and you'll destroy him. But do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game. It's what he wants. Just destroy it, please. Kyle. Well, it seems our dear friend Kyle has forgotten how to snap a CD. It's pretty tough. I once tried to get Beauty to break a CD for me, and she ate it, and that was a long night in the hospital. Well, that was certainly weird, even though Kyle is my best friend, and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. I didn't do what he asked me. Even though he's your friend and hadn't seen him in 2 weeks, I understand what not seeing him in 2 weeks has to do with you not doing what he told you. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, I was wrong about that. Boy, and I thought I had it rough when all my supplies got completely useless because they were wet, but these guys know real issues like having a bad gaming experience. Anyway, I looked at the disc and it looks like any ordinary CDR disc, except it had black marker written on it, Sonic.exe. Yes, I've never seen a CDR disc with black marker written on it before, and it was much unlike Kyle's handwriting, because it was neat, I suppose, meaning that he must have gotten it from someone else. Ooh, the world's greatest detective here, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the rating of the CD, I was actually excited and want to play it, since I'm a big Sonic fan. Well, thank you for reminding us of that. We might have forgotten. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. Whoa! This story is action-packed. When the title screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic game, and I was like, awesome! Because, like I said earlier, I liked the classics. Whoa! It all came full circle. Such twists in this story so far. The first thing I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start, there was a split second where I saw the title image turned into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying before cutting to black. At the time, I suppose I didn't consider it horrifying, but upon reflection, I was scared shitless. I remember what the image looked like in that split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened, the title emblem was rusted and ruined. It must have gotten wet, and the Sega 1991 was now instead Sega 666. Whoa! That is something right there, because that's really old. Oh, and also a stupid overdone demonic thing, who cares? And the water had turned red, like blood, except it looked hyper-realistic. What the hell does that mean? Well, I'm certainly glad that it was just like blood and not actually blood, because that might be jumping the gun a bit in this creepypasta. But the freakiest thing that was in this split second frame, you really saw a lot in this split second. I don't know, I think I'm starting to not buy this story. Perhaps it was made up. Anywho, Sonic, his eyes were pitch black and bleeding with two glowing red dots staring right at me. Ooh, I can't imagine a Sonic character with eyes like that. That would be so scary. And his smile had stretched wider up to the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed about that image when I saw it, though I figured it was just a glitch and forgot about it. Except that you just described it in ridiculous detail for that split second, but I suppose it was also very forgettable. Good. I'm really glad you're not doing any contradictions. After it cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so. And I just sat there very patiently counting, I suppose. And then another weird thing happened. The save file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up, and I was like, WTF? What's this doing in the first Sonic game? Clearly that's more disturbing than that whole like blood thing earlier, a save screen. I suppose I'm just too old to understand what's really scary in gaming these days. Anyway, then I noticed something off. Oh, something else, I suppose, since you said that shouldn't be there either. The background was the dark, cloudy sky of the Blad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic CD. And there were only 3 save files. The music was that creepy Caverns of Winter music from Earthbound, only it was extended and seemed to have been in reverse. I'm glad I'm so good at memorizing game tunes played in reverse like that. And the image for the save file where you see a preview of the level you're on is just red static for all 3 files. Whoa, that's the scariest of static. What freaked me out more, how can you keep going on like this about a single screen? You're ridiculous. Anyway, what freaked me out more was the character select. It only showed Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now I was sure that something was up. It takes you a while, doesn't it? You must have gotten wet. I'm pretty sure you're completely useless now. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game, for crying out loud? That's when I realized that this wasn't a glitchy game, it was a hacked game. Dun dun dun! Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared, or at least I tried not to be, unless save screens showed up after hyper-realistic whatever split second 10 seconds later. Fuck it. I told myself that it was just a hacked game, and there was nothing wrong with that. Anyways, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked file 1 and chose Tails, and when I selected and got started, the game froze for about 5 seconds. I'm glad this guy always just sits there patiently counting. And I heard a creepy pixelated laugh. Pixelated laugh? Can a laugh be pixelated? That sounded an awful lot like that Kefka guy from Final Fantasy before cutting to black. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more. Are we supposed to be adding up these seconds or something? Why do I need to know that? Anyway, then it showed the typical level title thing, except for the simplistic shapes that were different shades of red. So typical except for the differences, alright, and the text showed only Hill Act 1. If I don't know what type of hill it is, it's really scary. The screen faded in and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. This guy apparently listens to a lot of reversed music. Anyway, I started playing and had Tails running around like you would in any of the classic Sonic games. What was odd was that Tails was running along the level, there was nothing but black ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. Most people would probably have shut this off if you just ran around through nothing for 5 minutes, but this guy is really patient and loves his counting. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down into slow deep tones very slowly as I kept going. I suddenly saw something and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. I thought it already had. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face that I never saw him have before, so I had him move along, and he kept that worried look on his face. But how many seconds did he have the worried look on his face for? I feel like I don't know what's going on anymore. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past them, looking more and more worried as the music lowers and he moves past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like someone killed them in rather gruesome ways. A squirrel was hanged on a tree with what appeared to be his entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit. Wow, it seems they were expected. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. Because I asked him, I guess. After a few more seconds, there were no more dead animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. After a minute passed after the music stopped and I was done counting, Tails was running up to a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen with his back against Tails, with his eyes closed. Well, Sonic showed up in this Sonic story. This was rather unexpected. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him, if not acting like he was totally oblivious of Tails' presence. Well, I think we all would like to try to be totally oblivious to Tails' presence, but tell me why this is wrong, oh great story master. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make him move. So this had to have been a cutscene. Suddenly, I began to have a growing feel of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger because I have a psychic connection with this game apparently, and something bad was going to happen. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. Well, I suppose Sonic needs to teach Tails about personal boundaries and that touching people is no good. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. I know how you feel. I often try to tell my games what to do instead of just using the controller, and it usually goes poorly. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots, just like that title image that I had forgotten about, but I suppose that I'm a bit of a liar. Thought there wasn't a smile. He probably meant though. When that happened, the screen turned black and the static sound was off. It stayed black for about 7 seconds as I patiently sat there counting, and then white text appeared forming a message saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue the game, but my curiosity got the better of me, and I was taken to a different level with the title now saying, "Hide and Seek, the scariest of games." Oh no! This time, I was in the Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. I of course liked this because, if you've forgotten, I like classic Sonic games. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to get me to get him out of there. Well, I was already freaked out when you were apparently trying to talk to Tails yourself to get him to do things, so I don't know why it's any freakier when he does it. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could and made him run as fast as he could, because you know, keyboards are pressure sensitive like that, so pressing it it harder really does something. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from Sonic Adventure 2 was playing. You've already lost me. As I made Tails trek through the desolate forest trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from. Probably you. You're completely useless now. Suddenly, I heard that creepy laugh again. That awful Kefka laugh right after 10 seconds had passed as I helped Tails run through the forest. And then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping up everywhere on the screen, again with those black and red eyes. So scary. Please, never get me to play Sonic CD again. Oh wait, no, I was playing this made-up game. I'm sorry. The music changed that suspenseful drowning jingle. Jingles are so suspenseful. As I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying! Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying! Apparently the author has never gotten all the Chaos Emeralds in these classic Sonic games before and is just very easily shocked. The flying pose of his sprite was making looked very similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD. You shouldn't bring up Metal Sonic, you're just gonna remind us that those black and red eyes were already in a Sonic game, but whatever. Except it was just Sonic, and he had the black and red eyes, again. Only this time, he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was giving the poor little fox as he came up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, another cutscene, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails lay there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch and I kind of teared up myself because counting how long he was crying really upset me. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come down from those blackened eyes of Sonic as a grin slowly grew across his face as he looked out at the little horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Well, you could always exit out of the game, but I suppose that's not an option. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black. There was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned this time and it said, "You're too slow. Want to try again?" And then that god-awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what had just happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? It's almost like people can do whatever the hell they want within a hacked game, you moron! So I shook it off as I was brought back to the character select. I was really bothered for like 10 seconds. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but in the TV screen itself. What the hell does that mean? Which was flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me as his eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone black and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. You know, they say the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, but I admire your spunk. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black again and stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time the lever said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out now. I couldn't tell if this was a glitch or a hack or some kind of twisted joke or anything really. Yeah. I can't tell if this story is anything really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different, as if it was a different level. It had the ground of the scrap brain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had the red, darkish, cloudy sky, but it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like the Gigas theme right after you beat Pokey and Earthbound. I'm glad this guy can't tell if this was a hacked game despite it constantly playing other games' music. That's a usual glitch. Anyway, I was so freaked out and then I forgot everything again. Oh wait, no, that's not how it goes. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did. Though not as much, more rather, he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall just like Tails and looked as if he wasn't sure about what was going on. But I made him move anyway. He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level. As he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple of times, and then that maddening laugh came again. Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking that something horrible is going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated walking down this blood-stained road, but I kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and red eyes, in case we've forgotten. By the way, this guy really likes classic Sonic games. And then red static appeared again. When the static vanished, showing nothing but a black screen with text saying, "Found you," it was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What was going on? Good question. I barely know what I just read. Anyway, red static came again. Well, I was worried something new might happen. And then I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time that high-pitched squealing from the Silent Hill 1's final boss was playing. I didn't know if this was a glitch or not. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it wasn't, honestly, because then I might actually do something in this stupid game. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be pixelated black smoke. I wondered if the ending of Lost was happening. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic. But Sonic vanished into black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. Well, this is the ending of Lost. That terrible laugh went off again. Then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again, and then I made him punch again, and then Sonic vanished again, and then again, laughing. Knuckles was panicked even more, and even I felt like I was going crazy. Tell me about it. I feel like I'm going crazy reading this. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles. I never realized that the Sonic games were so psychological. Another cutscene played as Knuckled fell off his knees and clutched his head sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. But then after 15 seconds, I forgot all about it. And then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles and the screen went black with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for at least 3 seconds. Another text message appeared. So many souls to play with, so little time. Would you agree? Maybe, but I would name them Beauty. What the hell? Just what is going on? I started to think that Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. But you said you just thought that. Okay. I was brought back to the main menu and was scared shitless and died. And this time, the second file box had Knuckles in the TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray, the scariest of colors. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too, and he had a look of sadness on his face. I didn't understand why. It seemed like a good time to me. I began to think that those were the actual characters trapped in those TV screens on the save files, but I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. The actual characters? What the fuck? So I shut the game off and took a break. It seems like you could have done this a long time ago. I took a nap. Wish I hadn't, because then I began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in pitch black darkness, though I was right under the light given off by a lamp that hung above my head. What? I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us!" and "Why did you give us to him?" and "Run away before he gets you too." This dream lasted for approximately 1 minute and 32 seconds before I woke up and completely forgot about it. Their cries died out as I then heard Sonic laugh. His laugh sounded a lot like the distorted Kefka laugh. You're a lot of fun to play with, kid. Just like your friend Kyle, though he didn't last long. I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice. Won't be long now until you join him and all my other friends. I saw him walking towards me, flickering in and out in several directions. You can't run, kid. You're in my world now, just like the others. Then he grabbed me, and I saw his bleeding black and red-eyed grinning face, and I woke up with a fright. After a couple of hours... What do you mean after a couple of hours? Exactly how long was it? I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I guess that was why. I had to figure out why this was happening. So I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik next. I still thought that was wacky, playing as Robotnik, but anyway, the level title appeared again, and this time it said, ellipses, which I found really freaky. I'm really unfamiliar with the concept of pauses in speech. This time, I was in some kind of hallway. Didn't really look like it was from any of the classic Sonic games, though it has the pixelated style. The floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were a dark grayish purple with animated candle lights, and a few darkened blood stains were here and there, and there was a dark red curtain hanging above the top part of the screen. Oh no! I sure hope Mario 3 doesn't start. That'd be the scariest glitch in Sonic. Every 12 seconds or so, that red curtain sways very slowly, but whenever you're playing the game, you barely see it move, so I don't know how I noticed it. The music was oddly pleasant, a piano playing a rather sad yet peaceful song, but I knew better. This was the song that played in Hill Act 1, only it wasn't in reverse. You can't pull the wool over his ears. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did. Robotnik's cool shit, but he did have a suspicious look on his face, as if he was just a bit paranoid. He did a little animation just when I left him standing. He turns his head to the left and then to the right at least twice, and then shrugs at me as if he has no idea where he was or what was going on. Even though I was scared out of my mind about Robotnik's indecisive attitude, I suppose, I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his usual running animation. You know, when you've beaten him at the end of a classic Sonic game and you chase him. Remember, I like classic Sonic games. And we continued going through the hallway. Then I stopped at a long flight of stairs leading downwards. Now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself. Truly, this is Robotnik's greatest challenge. Stairs! Though I pressed onward. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed that the walls have gotten darker and more reddish. The red torches are now an eerie blue. Then we landed onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. And then we headed down another flight of stairs. Down. What? This one was much longer. Took at least 1 full minute of counting. And then I heard that horrid Kefka laugh again, and the music slowly faded until it was quiet, as did the walls turned more dark red, and the torches were a black flame now, the scariest color of flames. When Robotnik landed into the third hallway, I noticed that he looked really creeped out, though he tried to hide it. What the hell does that look like? I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. I hope this guy never plays an actual horror game. Suddenly, Sonic popped right in front of Robotnik, the same way he did Knuckles, and then Red Static. The red static lasts for about 15 seconds. And then it showed me a most unpleasant image. My face. The image showed a hyper-realistic of Sonic. Not a hyper-realistic of Sonic standing in the darkness where you could only see his face, while his head and torso faded into black. And when I say hyper-realistic, I mean like he looked so real you could actually see the lines in his blue fur, as if you could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen. Wow, real images on a TV. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to walk into my favorite sitcoms. His face! Oh God, he had the most horrifying smile I had ever seen. And that's saying something considering I saw that image at the start of the game. His eyes are wide and black and once again crying blood, which also looked hyper realistic, like I could almost drink it. And then there were 2 small glowing red dots in those black eyes staring right at me, as if staring into my mind, but unfortunately I didn't have one. His grin was wide and demonic. It literally stretched to the sides of his face, not figuratively, like a Cheshire cat, except Sonic had fangs, very sharp fangs, much like the werehog's teeth, except more vicious looking, somewhat yellowish, and from the look of it, he had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips, and the fangs as if he ate a small animal. Whoa, you mean he ate some meat? Well, I never! Unless I walk into a room and no one's there and it seems that I was expected. I stared at that gruesome image for a good 30 seconds counting, never taking my eyes off it. I felt as if he was actually looking at me, smiling at me. I smiled back, and we just smiled there forever. The end. That face. It just took 10 seconds for it to etch itself into my brain for good, until it went away and I forgot about it. Then the screen flickered with a red static again 3 times, and on the 3rd time I heard the Kefka laugh. Except this time it sounded distorted, demonic even. It then went back to the image again, except this time there was text again, though it was messed up, but it was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I looked at since I had this game. I am God! It was when I read that message while looking at Sonic when it hit me. I realized right there and then, this Sonic was a monster, a pure, evil, sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented monster. And all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, are just his little toys. And the game is the very gateway to his chaotic, nightmarish world, and the very hell his victims are trapped in. So it's really scary because he might have killed a few fictional characters and secondarily your real life best friend who you don't really talk to. Okay. Suddenly, in an actual split second, well, this guy can even count actual split seconds. I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a literally spiraling abyss of pure darkness. Not a figurative one, before the red static came again, this time much louder and distorted, so loud that it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static screeched for a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped and showed nothing but a black screen. As I sat there staring at the black screen, one last text came up. Ready for round 2, Tom? The Kefka laugh, now sounding more clear as if Sonic was standing right behind me. Played again 3 times. No, as I looked at that text in shock and confusion. Then I got booted back to the main menu. This time the third save file had a TV image of Robotnik in the same tormented state as Tails. And Knuckles, Robotnik's skin turned a dull gray, his mustache drooped and had blackened, his glasses broke and blood is coming from them, and he had a mere dead-like expression on his face. You know, that dead-like expression, the one I see every time I look into Beauty's eyes. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I cried a bit. I pitied them for the agony they were going through. They were forever trapped within the game, forever tormented by that horrid hedgehog, and always will be, unless you play any of the other Sonic games where it's not quite this stupid. Then the computer shut itself off, and I couldn't turn it back on, no matter what I did. I apparently poured water on it, and it's completely useless now. I sat there for maybe 25 seconds. I guess I lost count at some point, horrified by what had just happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who play his game in more ways than one, and then when he gets bored, he drags you into the game, literally drags you to hell, where he can play with you always as his toy. I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there, but at least I managed to turn it back on now. I sat there for 25 seconds counting, and I heard a voice right behind me, like a whisper. Try to keep this interesting for me, Tom. I turned around to see where the voice came from, and what I saw made me scream. Sitting on my bed, staring right at me, was a Sonic plushie. Smiling with bloodstains under its eyes. Well, I think we can all say that that ending was completely unexpected and really stupid. If there's anything to be learned from this story, I think it's this: that hacked games that are really boring and make you run around for 5 minutes with nothing going on might shoot a plushie at you, which is terrifying, so don't play them.